My child, listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you is not just a story. It's a revelation wrapped in silence, a mirror meant to awaken something deep within you. Somewhere right now, as these words reach your heart, there lies a woman in a sterile hospital room. Machines hum softly around her, their rhythm cold and mechanical. The faint, repetitive beep, beep, beep echoes like a distant heartbeat that doesn't quite belong to her anymore. She cannot move, she cannot speak. Her eyelids are closed as if the world outside no longer exists. Yet within her, something stirs, a mind still alive, a spirit that refuses to let go. Doctors stand nearby, whispering in tones heavy with confusion. Their hands move swiftly, but their faces tell the truth they cannot admit aloud. They don't understand what's happening to her. To them, she's a mystery wrapped in failing flesh. But to you, my child, she is something more, because her story and yours are bound by invisible threads, woven by a divine hand you cannot yet see. You may ask, how could that be? I don't even know her. But yes, you do. Not in memory, but in meaning. Her suffering carries a message meant for you. Her silence speaks what your heart needs to hear, because what happened to her began long before she ever entered that cold hospital bed. It began with choices, emotions, and shadows that whispered softly until they grew too loud to ignore. Close your eyes for a moment, my child. Picture her, once full of laughter, her dreams painted in the bright colors of youth. She had friends who believed in her, a family who cherished her, and a spirit that once danced with hope. But life has a way of testing the strongest hearts. For her, the tests came like relentless waves. A job lost, a relationship shattered, promises broken by time and circumstance. Each heartbreak chipped away at her joy until her smile became a memory and her faith turned to dust. She watched you from afar, my child, not with eyes of love, but with eyes clouded by envy. She saw how you carried light, how even through your storms you found reasons to keep believing. That light irritated her wounds, made her own pain harder to ignore, and so, instead of reaching for that same light, she reached for something else, something darker. It began as a whisper in her mind. Why does she have what I don't? Why does she shine when I'm fading? Those whispers grew stronger, shaping her heart into something unfamiliar. It was on a night when the world was too still, when silence pressed against the walls like unseen hands. The air hung heavy, filled with unspoken emotions. A single candle flickered in her small room, casting long shadows that seemed to breathe and move. Her eyes burned with desperate purpose. In that moment, she wasn't thinking clearly. She was consumed by the thought of taking back control, of reclaiming something she believed was stolen from her. But my child, power gained through pain always demands a price. On that night, she sought out something forbidden, not prayer, not faith, but an ancient practice whispered about in the corners of despair. She had found an old book, one that seemed to appear out of nowhere, its cover worn, its words strange yet familiar. The moment she touched it, a chill ran through her body. She should have walked away, but she didn't. The promise of power was louder than her conscience. She began collecting fragments of you, things small but deeply personal. A scarf you'd once worn, still carrying your scent, a photograph where your eyes glowed with hope, and finally, your name, written on parchment, glimmering faintly as though it resisted the ink itself. She didn't know that your name was already protected, sealed under grace she could never comprehend. She believed these items would give her control, that they would let her take what she felt she'd lost. She arranged them carefully before the candlelight, her trembling hands forming symbols she didn't understand. The flame flickered higher as she whispered words from that ancient book, words not meant for mortal tongues. They were old, heavy, and alive. The air thickened, the walls seemed to close in, and the shadows stretched unnaturally. But she didn't stop. She believed she was commanding something that would bend to her will. She thought she could shape destiny itself. But destiny, my child, belongs to no one but the divine. Then it happened. The flame shivered once, then vanished, swallowed as though it had never existed. A cold wind swept through the room, though every window was closed. The mirror before her cracked with a sound like thunder, splintering her reflection into two halves, one of light, one of darkness. The very air trembled. Her heart pounded in terror, yet her feet were rooted where she stood. The shadows that once danced now crawled toward her, alive with something ancient and furious. In that moment, she realized she wasn't in control. She wasn't the master of this power. She was its target. The entity she'd called had turned its gaze upon her, not upon you. Because your spirit, my child, carries a seal, one placed by hands not of this world. No force of darkness can reach what heaven has marked. Her body trembled as the air turned sharp, slicing through her like invisible blades. She tried to speak, to undo the words, but her voice dissolved into the silence. The presence that filled the room did not speak. It didn't need to. The truth was written across her very soul: touch not my chosen, and do my servants no harm. That truth was a wall she could not cross. The power she had unleashed recoiled back toward her like a storm, wrapping around her in unseen chains. The shadows swirled violently, but they couldn't touch what bore your name. Your photograph fell to the ground, untouched, glowing faintly in the dark. The scarf landed beside it, light as air, safe, pure, unharmed. The whispers turned into visions. Shadows began to move again, not in her room but in her mind. A faint shape in the corner of her eye, a chill across her shoulder when no one was there. At first she brushed it off as imagination. But then came the cold touch, the faint pressure of invisible fingers against her skin. The air grew sharp, heavy, alive with something she could neither see nor explain. My child, understand this. When the heart invites darkness, it cannot be half closed. What enters always seeks to stay. She tried to fight it with the tools of the world, medicine, rest, distraction. But what she was fighting was not of this world. The ache she felt wasn't in her body, it was in her spirit. She began losing her strength. Food tasted like dust. Laughter felt foreign. Sunlight burned instead of warmed. The world looked unchanged, but to her everything seemed veiled. She was walking through a place that wasn't quite real anymore, trapped between what was seen and unseen. Because now, my child, you walk in a protection few ever understand. It's not just a shield, it's a covenant. You are covered by favor that confuses your enemies, peace that makes no sense to those who hurt you, and strength that cannot be taken. When they wonder why their plans never prospered against you, they'll realize they weren't fighting you. They were fighting the one who sent you. The same power that silenced that woman's curse now walks beside you. The same voice that spoke peace over her torment speaks victory over your life. And that voice says to you now, you've endured enough. The battle is over. Step into what I have prepared. The time has come, my child. The fog is lifting. The blessings that once seemed delayed are aligning perfectly. The people who left were not your loss. They were divine redirection. The doors that closed weren't rejection. They were protection. And the very pain that once confused you has now become your testimony. You are stepping into a season where the purpose behind your pain will finally make sense. You'll see how every unanswered prayer, every tear, every lonely night was molding your heart for this very moment. Because you, my child, were never forsaken. You were being fortified. There will be those who look at you now and wonder how you carry such peace after what you've been through. They'll see your calm in storms and think it's strength, but you'll know it's grace. They'll see your victories and call them luck, but you'll know it's destiny. They'll see your light and not realize it's not you shining, it's heaven shining through you. So lift your head, my child. Walk with courage. The enemy that once chased you now trembles before your name. The same light that protected you now surrounds everything you touch. No weapon formed against you will ever prosper. No curse can bind what has been blessed. No darkness can linger where you stand. You carry something holy, not just survival, but victory. The story that began with a curse ends in your calling. What was meant to destroy has become your testimony of deliverance. And the woman, her story too found peace. Though her body rests, her soul was not lost. Because even in her rebellion, grace found her. The darkness she unleashed was conquered by the light she once envied. And now, her final lesson lives through you. Proof that even from brokenness, heaven can birth beauty. So remember this always, my child. Every pain has purpose. Every test has teaching. Every shadow only makes your light shine brighter. You are chosen. You are covered. You are unstoppable. Walk forward now, not as a victim, but as a victor. Not as the wounded, but as the healed. Not as the one who survived, but as the one who overcame. For the battle is finished, and heaven has spoken. The victory belongs to you. When it was over, she stood trembling in darkness, staring at the ruins of her own reflection. The mirror remained cracked. The candle remained dead. The silence that followed was not peace, it was warning. The weight she had summoned did not leave empty-handed. It left something inside her, a mark, a presence, an unseen curse that waited quietly for its time to grow. And that, my child, was the beginning of her fall and the beginning of your revelation. My child, the night after that forbidden ritual, the world outside her window looked the same. Quiet streets, the soft hum of life going on. But inside her room, something had changed forever. The air felt heavier, almost alive. She couldn't name it, but she could feel it in the spaces between breaths, in the stillness between heartbeats. Though the shadows no longer moved, their presence clung to her, unseen yet suffocating. She told herself it was over, that nothing had really happened. It was just fear, she whispered, forcing a shaky laugh. Just my imagination. But deep down, she knew. Something had entered with her invitation, something she could not send away. That night, as she lay in bed, she could not sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes of the ritual, the cracked mirror, the extinguished candle, the image of your picture falling to the floor. Her body trembled, though the air was warm. She turned over, clutching her blanket tight, trying to chase away the memories, but her heart beat faster and faster, as if something unseen was watching her. And it was... The darkness she'd called had not left. It had simply changed form. It lingered quietly within her, waiting. It was not a shadow you could see. It was guilt, regret, fear, all woven together into something alive. The seed had been planted, my child, and though she didn't yet see it, it was already growing. The next morning, the sun streamed through her curtains, golden and bright, but it brought no warmth. She got out of bed slowly, her body feeling heavier than usual, as if gravity itself had doubled. The world seemed dulled, colors faded, sounds muted. The laughter of people outside no longer stirred joy in her, it irritated her, echoing mockery she could not escape. Days passed, and that weight inside her grew stronger. It started small, a whisper at the edge of her thoughts. You made a mistake. Then another. There's no way back now. She tried to drown them out with music, with chatter, with work, but the whispers always returned. They followed her into her sleep, into her waking hours, curling around her like fog. At first, she tried to rationalize it. Stress, exhaustion, maybe guilt. But the truth was deeper. She had opened a spiritual wound, and the darkness fed on her denial. Her reflection began to unsettle her. When she looked into the mirror, she saw something faintly wrong. Her eyes looked hollow, as if they carried stories she couldn't remember. She turned the mirrors around, avoided them altogether, but the reflection lived on in her dreams. Each night she dreamed of you, my child. You stood in the light, calm, untouchable. The same photograph she once stole came alive in her mind. You smiled, but your eyes were not judgmental. They were kind. That kindness pierced her deeper than any curse could. It reminded her of what she had lost, of who she used to be before resentment claimed her heart. Her friends noticed her fading. They asked, "Are you okay?" She smiled and said yes, because how could she explain something she didn't understand? How could she tell them about a darkness that whispered her name when she was alone, about shadows that breathed when the lights went out? How could she confess that she had tried to curse someone, you, and the curse had turned on her instead? The guilt was unbearable, but she carried it alone. She stopped answering calls, stopped visiting friends, stopped looking at the world beyond her walls. Each passing day, she withdrew further into herself. The world she knew shrank until it was nothing more than the four corners of her room, that cursed room where it all began. And then came the sickness. It started as exhaustion. Her body ached, her breath grew shallow, her chest tight. She went to doctors. They ran tests, examined her blood, checked her heart. Each result came back normal. "You're fine," they said. "You're just tired." But she knew she wasn't fine. She could feel her strength leaking away like sand slipping through fingers. The nights became unbearable. The whispers she once heard faintly now spoke with clarity. They no longer accused, they demanded. "You called us. You belong to us." Her body trembled, her pulse quickened, her voice failed. She tried to pray, but her prayers felt empty, bouncing off unseen walls. Every "God help me" sounded hollow, as though it was swallowed by a void. My child, her soul was crying, but she didn't know how to reach for mercy, because shame builds walls thicker than steel, and fear locks every door. She was drowning, not in water, but in her own silence. One night she woke gasping, her lungs on fire, her body paralyzed. The air grew icy as her reflection appeared faintly in the dark mirror she had turned away. Her reflection moved first. Her lips parted, but she didn't speak. Her reflection did. It smiled faintly, not cruelly, but knowingly, as if to say, "Now you see." She screamed inside, but her voice made no sound. The presence she had invited years ago had now taken root, and she realized what she had truly done. Not a ritual for revenge, but a binding for destruction. She had cursed herself. When the morning came, she could barely stand. Her body trembled uncontrollably. She collapsed on the cold floor, the scarf and picture still lying where she had dropped them long ago. Her family found her there, lifeless but breathing, her eyes open yet empty. And that is how, my child, she came to lie in that hospital bed you saw in your heart's vision. The machines breathe for her now. The doctors call it a mystery, but you and I know better. What's consuming her is not illness. It's the weight of a soul entangled with what it called forth. But this is not just her story, my child. This is where your purpose begins. For what binds her spirit to yours was not meant to destroy. It was meant to awaken something divine within you. The question is, will you answer that call? My child, as that woman lay motionless in the sterile hospital room, the world around her kept spinning, but inside her, time had stopped. Her body was still, her lips unmoving, yet her mind was awake in a world between life and eternity. She could hear everything, the rhythmic hum of machines, the soft weeping of her family, the murmured prayers of doctors who could not understand. They spoke of rare conditions, of failures they couldn't diagnose, of symptoms that made no sense, but none of them saw the truth. The battle wasn't in her body, it was in her spirit. Inside her, two forces wrestled. One was the darkness she had called years ago, now bound to her like a shadow that refused to let go. The other was light, faint but stubborn, a light that came not from her, but from the one she had once tried to harm. From you, my child. In her silent prison, she began to see visions. Memories played like broken film reels. The night of the ritual, the flickering candle, the ancient book, the cracked mirror. But woven between those memories were images of you, your face, your name, your light. She didn't see anger in those visions, only calm, only peace. And that peace broke her more than any punishment ever could. She realized, lying there in silence, that your spirit had never been touched. The curse she sent toward you had shattered before it reached your life, as though it struck an invisible wall of light. You were protected, my child, guarded not by luck, but by promise. When she spoke your name that night, the heavens moved, for your name is written in the light of divine covenant, shielded by grace that cannot be stolen or broken. The force she called had turned against her, not out of cruelty, but out of justice. When it found it could not reach you, it turned to the one who summoned it. It saw her jealousy, her bitterness, her rebellion, and those things became its doorway. The darkness always feeds on what resembles it. Her envy became its welcome, her pain became its anchor, and her heart became its home. But you, my child, your light repelled it. When her curse spoke your name, the voice of heaven answered louder, "This one is mine." The same moment she uttered the final words of her ritual, your guardian stirred. The divine presence around you flared, unseen but powerful. Every weapon formed against you shattered before it even came close. That's why, though you never saw the battle, your spirit felt the tremor. Remember those nights when you couldn't sleep for no reason, when your heart raced as if sensing something unseen? You felt it then, not the attack, but the protection. Because you, my child, are not ordinary. You are chosen. The enemy can whisper, can threaten, can plot, but he cannot prevail. Every force sent toward you bends backward. Every shadow that rises against you ends up bowing before the light that surrounds you. As that woman lay bound by the weight of her own choices, the divine began to work quietly, not in wrath, but in mercy. For even when we fall, the hand of grace still reaches. The same light that protected you began to shine faintly in her darkness, offering her something she never expected: forgiveness. At first, she resisted. In her inner vision, she heard the voice of the one who once protected her too, the voice she had ignored when she turned to the shadows. "Let go," it whispered, but she couldn't. Guilt had built walls around her heart. She thought forgiveness was impossible, that mercy was too far beyond her reach. But mercy, my child, is not earned. It's given. Days turned into weeks, and her family prayed beside her. Their tears touched heaven, and heaven listened. Slowly, faintly, something inside her began to change. The whispers of darkness grew weaker, as if afraid. Her spirit, though trapped in silence, began to stir with remembrance of light, of warmth, of hope. And you, though you did not know, were part of that mercy. Your name became her turning point. Each time the doctors spoke it, each time her family mentioned you, a tremor moved through her spirit. It wasn't pain this time, it was cleansing. The curse that had once chained her began to break link by link. My child, that's the mystery of divine protection. What comes to harm you often becomes the path to someone else's redemption. Your shield became her mirror, your peace became her lesson, and yet you too were being shaped through this unseen connection. You began to feel an unexplainable compassion, a sudden urge to pray for those who hurt you, to forgive without reason, to let go without closure. You thought it was just kindness, but it was the Spirit moving through you, teaching you divine empathy, the kind that turns pain into purpose. Because, my child, every time you forgive, heaven shifts. Every time you release what tried to break you, you disarm the power that darkness thought it held. That's why your heart still shines after all the storms, why peace follows you even when others fall apart. It's not weakness, it's divine inheritance. In the unseen realm, the woman's spirit trembled. She saw now what she had never believed, that the same God she defied was still near. Her soul cried for mercy, though her lips could not move. And in that silent cry, heaven answered. The darkness within her began to unravel, not all at once, but piece by piece, until all that was left was exhaustion and regret. And though her body still lay still, her spirit had begun its journey back toward the light. My child, remember this. When others aim harm at you, it never reaches. It returns to its sender, not because you wish them pain, but because light cannot coexist with darkness. That's why I tell you, do not curse those who curse you. Pray for them. Your prayer can heal what judgment cannot. The woman's suffering was not meant to destroy. It became her awakening. And your protection was not just for your sake. It became her proof that grace is stronger than guilt. As you walk this earth, you will meet many who, like her, hide their pain behind envy or resentment. You will feel their shadows brush against your light. Don't fear them, bless them. Your compassion is their test, and your forgiveness their invitation to healing. For the same God who shields you also calls you to reflect that shield, to become a bearer of light, a restorer of souls, a reminder that mercy always wins. So, my child, lift your heart. You are surrounded by a protection that no force can break, and now, through you, that same protection begins to reach others, even those who once meant you harm. The story isn't over yet, because where there is mercy, there is transformation. And where there is transformation, there comes victory. My child, listen carefully, for the story is reaching its divine conclusion. The woman who once lay helpless, trapped between life and eternity, is not forgotten, and neither are you. For every breath, every moment, every unseen struggle carries a thread of purpose, woven by hands greater than yours or hers. In that still hospital room, her body remained motionless, but the war for her soul had already been decided. Heaven had claimed victory long before her final fall. What she invited through darkness had already met its match in divine light. The moment she whispered your name with envy, grace turned that whisper into her lesson. The curse that sought to wound you became the seed of her redemption. And you, my child, you felt it. Even if you didn't understand, there were days when you woke up heavy for no reason, nights when your heart ached with unexplainable compassion, moments when you found yourself praying for someone without knowing who. That was not coincidence, that was purpose. Your spirit was interceding for the one who once tried to harm you, because that's what the chosen do. They turn pain into prayer and suffering into salvation. The divine light around you did more than protect you, it began to teach through you. Every tear you shed, every test you faced, every time you forgave, heaven used it as a weapon against the darkness. While she lay in silence, your faith became her echo. Every time you chose peace over anger, the darkness within her weakened. Every time you spoke light into your pain, her chains loosened. You were unaware, my child, but your forgiveness was opening doors in realms unseen. For mercy is not passive, it's power in disguise. Inside that sterile room, where machines hummed and monitors blinked, the woman's spirit began to stir. Though her body did not move, heaven was breathing upon her soul. She saw herself as she truly was, broken, lost, but not beyond repair. The same voice that once called her away from light now faded, replaced by a gentler one. Come home. Tears that could not fall still formed in her spirit. Her heart whispered the only word she could manage, forgive me. And in that moment, the unseen presence that had tormented her recoiled. It had no power left. Grace had filled the space it once claimed. And somewhere far from that hospital, you, my child, felt a strange peace wash over you. A sudden release, as if a weight you didn't know you carried had lifted. That was the moment her curse broke completely, not by punishment, but by prayer, not by force, but by forgiveness. Because when heaven writes a name in its book of protection, no shadow can erase it, and when you forgive the ones who hurt you, you step into a dimension of divine authority that no enemy can touch. The days that followed were quiet, But heaven was not silent. As she lay surrounded by doctors and family, a stillness settled in the room. The machines continued their rhythm, but something invisible shifted. Her breathing steadied, her pulse softened, her spirit rested for the first time in years. Though her eyes never opened again, peace touched her soul. The world called it a mystery, heaven called it mercy. And you, my child, your life began to change too. You noticed the heaviness lifting, blessings flowing, doors opening where once they were sealed. That's because divine order was being restored. The energy that once circled around darkness now moved in your favor. The tests you faced were turning into testimonies. The storms that tried to break you were watering the seeds of your destiny. Every challenge had been preparation. Every delay, every heartbreak, every disappointment had been sculpting something powerful inside you. You were being refined, not punished, but positioned.